When it comes to you selling your business, one of the most important things that you can do is actually make a decision to sell. It's going to affect the quality of your decisions. It's going to make a difference in the directions that you take your organization. And there's really 5 key pieces that you need to know about. I'm Scott Sylvan, coming to you live from Sacramento, California, on a perfect day to talk about business exits, strategies, decision making, and a fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming live from Sacramento. All right, so let's say that you are considering selling your business or your practice or your offer, and you say, hey, I'm thinking about it. You are going to make completely different decisions based upon I'm going to sell my business. And so as you're weighing out your opportunities, there's also opportunity cost. And so in these 5 areas, these are the biggest struggles that I see people have problems, issues, or get an advantage over. And so let's say that you're 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years out, and you say, hey, I want to sell my business. The first thing that you're going to notice is the decisions in who you hire as management and who you are willing to retain as management change. And this is also going to be true for consultants, because as you're taking a look and you're saying, I'm going to have to pass on knowledge, skills, talents, and capabilities, if the person that you have in place right now can't do those jobs, then you're going to have to handicap how much you're willing to sell your company for. And so when I say, hey, I am going to sell my company, one of the most important decisions is, okay, who's going to manage the operations, the CEO, whatever role that is, really comes into play. Now, in conjunction with that, who you hire as consultants really changes as well too. Because if you're like, hey, I'm on growth, but you're not maintaining, hey, I'm on growth and exit, then you may not have the right person. Because there's a lot of times where people say, I want growth, and they don't consider, okay, well, if we're doing growth, why don't we do exit at the same time? Why don't we prepare for both? Because, without telling all the employees, we can put everything in conjunction. We can do it together. So hiring isn't just the management, it's also employees. It's like, are we looking for the best of the best? Are we looking for we're just going to fill in some positions? Or are you absolutely positively saying, no, wait, time out. I want the best of the best, because at the end of the day, that summation of all of the talent is going to work to my favor for the exit, which is a fair warning for you. If you're not paying attention to how you're hiring, you're probably losing pieces, sections, profitability from every part of your business because you don't have standards. Number 2 on this list, retaining. There's people on your team that I'm going to tell you probably need to be let go. There's people on your team that absolutely need to be let go. So between those two, there's items you should be taking a look at. Like, if they don't fit, they got to go. And they may have been there for a while, so there might be some legal ramifications. They may be a spark plug of enthusiasm for some of the other employees. I'm going to let you know that there's probably people on your team that are holding you back. Number 3, standards. Kind of goes in conjunction with number 2 with retain. But standards, what happens is when you decide to sell, you've got the foundational 4. You've got KPIs, which you're going to live by. You've got standard operating procedures. You've got job descriptions with decision bands. Those 4 things, those foundational 4, those standards you start putting in place change the way that the operations run, because you start working off of a dashboard. If you haven't already, I would highly encourage it. And so when you start saying, hey, look, what are the standards that I'm going to operate from? You're now saying these are the things that I am and am not going to accept. And so when you start going down the path of okay, management, consultant, employees, and then we got standards underneath there, understand that you start thinking differently. Next on this list is investments. What investments are you going to make? Now, what you need to know is, as you exit, there are investments you need to make. And there are capital investments that you need to make, because that may not work towards add backs. The company who's buying you, private equity, the individual buyer, the private buyer may come in and say, hey, you didn't make these investments. So what happens is, with your investments, they start becoming strategic. Like, maybe I don't buy the truck with the leather seats. Maybe we take the trip, but we don't fly first class as a team. I don't know what the specifics are going to be for every single individual company. But when you start saying, okay, every dollar of EBITDA in the future is worth between $6 and $15 that we can save, then you start taking a look at where can we not make silly investments? And if we can save that money, okay, Can we invest it in buying a new machine? Can we invest it in buying marketing? Can we invest it in some other place? So like you start taking a look and say like, here's all the savings that we could take. And then we can take those savings and plug them in somewhere else and use them to our advantage. And then last on this list, what you're going to find is when you have decided, I am going to exit my business. I am out in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. You negotiate differently. The things that you would be willing to put up with in terms, the things that you would be willing to put up with in investment for dollars or even for percentage of interest rate, they completely change. And so when you start going down this list of who you hire, whether it's an employee, whether it's a manager, whether it's a consultant, who you retain, the standards you have for the foundational four that get put into place, the investment, the capital expenditures that you're going to have, and then how you negotiate, what you're going to find is you completely run a different company. When you say, I am going to sell my business internally, you're not announcing this to the team. When you say, I am going to sell my business, the landscape changes, the vision changes, the overall architecture of how you're going to do things happen. And so what happens is people are like, I want to dabble. I'm considering doing it. Okay, you can consider doing it. But how you hire management, consultants, and employees is going to change. How you retain, the standards that you live by, the investments that you make, and the negotiations. It's night and day. It's night and day. So I want to give you fair warning. I want to give you the capability of figuring out, hey, what are some advantages? Now, let's just say that you say, hey, I do want to hire differently, whether it's a management, whether it's an employee, whether it's a consultant. I want to retain differently. I want my standards to improve. I want to look at how I'm doing investments and how I'm saving parts of the profitability and how I negotiate. You may decide, I don't want to sell my business, but the key result from these 5 things is most of the time, I can't say this with 100% certainty because that would be crazy, but most of the time companies end up running better. And you start attracting better talent, and you start getting better decision makers. It's order of operation. It's putting in work. It's putting in effort. But one of the things to think about is like, am I going to sell? Once again, you don't have to announce it to your team. You probably shouldn't, right? The key people probably want to have some legal structure, some NDAs, and some buyouts, and some things in place to protect yourself. I'm not a doctor, attorney, marriage counselor, or therapist. Go see one. Right, go talk to an attorney and say, hey, here's what I'm considering doing. Hire an exit consultant. Somebody, doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody else. They're going to have their own version of this, but I'm going to share with you. When you say, I'm out and I'm going to exit in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, these 5 areas completely change the way that you look, operate, and run your business. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it. Every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.